does an Aspie know that 70% of what they think is heresy?
1 hour later.
And that's all, folks. Wait, no. So I don't know the answer to that question. Is that a very obvious yes or is that a very obvious no? I really don't know.
So what happens is you go into a social environment.
Yeah.
You try to play along.
Yeah.
And then you accidentally say that gravity points downward
Right.
and the sun goes around the earth and you're kicked out of the room. And then you go into another room. And then you say water is wet and you're kicked out of that room.
Yeah.
And then you go like, you know what? I'm just going to agree with what anybody says. I'm going to completely parrot the propaganda.
Yes.
And then you get kicked out of the room because you accidentally implied that 1 + 1 is 2 when everyone said that 2 - 1 is 1. And over time, through trial and error, you figure out which one's which. But here's the problem. Now, if you play along, maybe you'll get along with those people,
Right.
but then you will never find a group you're actually comfortable with. So
Hence
if
the
you
social
actually want to
comfort.
feel genuinely socially comfortable,
Yes.
you have to go into these groups.
Yes.
You have to say there is no God. You have to get kicked out, and you have to do that over and over and over again until you finally find some sane people.
That's a tough existence. What goes through my mind is I don't want to pick this fight right now. I'm enjoying myself. I'm just going to go along and nod. Normies do that all the time.
If everyone's just saying a whole bunch of political, tribal, maybe even hateful nonsense,
Sure.
that doesn't really matter because you're not even paying attention to the literal meanings of the words. You're paying attention to the vibes through your empathy cluster.
Yes.
If you're Aspie, that empathy cluster is severely damaged.
Yes.
So you can't rely on it for your understanding of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Your understanding of the world has to come through the literal, explicit statements. That is your way of relating to people.
Sure.
Imagine that you took everything literally.
Seeing people as sheep becomes a lot easier to do and more obvious.
I just very quickly categorized people into, does this person tell the truth or is this person a sheep? If they're a person who will say the truth, then maybe this is someone I can communicate with honestly.
And I imagine you don't have a lot of people like that. Or it took you a long time to find people like that.
I can talk honestly with you. That's what matters.
How I behave, how I talk, what I'm willing to get into depends on the social group I'm with. There's a ton of context there. In fact, that is my profession. That is what I'm paid to do.
And you're very good at it.
I'm very good at it. While the world or an average normie may put social context into 10 buckets, I put it into 500 buckets. And there's different ways I act in 500 buckets. When I'm around people who are in a room just of Aspies, I am going to say different things and act different ways than a room of people who I know if I try to push them intellectually on different topics, they're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to get sad. They're going to get upset with themselves and me. It would kill the vibe. When I'm in that setting, 492, that's not my goal in that situation. And so I change what I say and how I act in that situation.
When someone gets you to say something that's untrue but politically correct, that's just words.
Can you not say something, but you know in your mind it's not true?
I can, but that's a lie. The thing is that normal people can say things that are untrue without lying.
Right. Wait, okay, that's big.
In fact, people saying things that are untrue without lying just because they don't bother to investigate whether it's actually true is
That's
the overwhelming majority of misinformation.
I just say things.
Yes. Do you read 1984?
Yep.
Okay, so you know the ending scene
Yep.
where the guy puts him in room 101 and says, you must say 2 + 2 = 5 or I'll have the rats eat your face. Yeah, you can just say 2 + 2 = 5.
Right.
But then what? What have you sacrificed? If you never say the truth to anyone,
Yep.
you just play along,
Yep.
you will never authentically connect with anyone. You will never make a real friend.
A key part of that is that feeling of freedom
Exactly.
to express what you feel. And so
if you're Aspie, that freedom is severely restricted.
it's pretty much restricted only to other Aspies, right?
Or to people
Yeah.
who are comfortable saying the truth. Comfortable hearing the truth is sufficient. And when I find those people, I try to keep them around.